My name is Maxwell Tajo Francis. I'm from the small community of Fancy, which is north of the Dry River in the constituency of North Windward. Here, the community of Fancy has been known over the years as a cultural village. A matter of fact, some years back we were renamed the cultural Mecca, or the cultural part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. One of the reasons for that is that here in Fancy, we host what is known as the National Heroes Day Festival. Basically, it's something that Vincentians all over St. Vincent and the Grenadines look forward to. However, Heroes Day did not just originated in Fancy. For many years, this is an activity that was done in the community of Sandy Bay, which is basically the Garifuna community here north of the Dry River. And we the people in Fancy were one of the main participants in terms of that festival. And some years ago, it started, well, the type of hype that it had, it seemed as though it was dying for one reason or another. And after we started our Fancy Farmers Cooperative, our Fancy Farmers Group, we decided that this might be the golden opportunity to really revitalize this particular activity. And we decided that it's best that we host the activity, or that we come up with our own activity. And thus it took us basically 2 weeks to plan the 4th National Heroes Day Festival, and it was a success. Now, I believe one of the reasons why the festival took off is because it's a festival of a difference. And basically, what people look forward to is that our objective here in Fancy is not about the organization who hosts the festival. It is really about the community and people here in Fancy, and it really adds to the economic here in Fancy. Our objective as an organization is that we want to provide a platform for our farmers here in terms of creating a local market. So when we have events like the National Heroes Day Festival, a lot of farmers in Fancy look forward to selling us their cassava, their sweet potato, their dasheen, their callaloo, their vegetables, you name it. Also, besides buying from the farmers, we are also able to create employment for persons on that day, who, especially the icebox vendors, for example. A matter of fact, the whole community look forward to the event. Persons, I don't think there's a home in Fancy that is not part of this event now. Every home, I think, is a major player in terms of looking forward to this event. Persons will make their dukana, they will bake the cassava bread, they will sell their greens, they will make their local wine, they will make their goat broth, and they will bring out their ice boxes, and everybody look forward to making a little something. Over the years, the festival has really grown. It has built a name for itself, and I believe that this festival has grown to become one of the biggest festivities here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on National Heroes Day. One of the things that people left with when they leave Fancy is that they can't wait for next year, or they can't wait for the following year to come back, because they have enjoyed themselves so much. Persons come here with 3 things in mind. 1, to lime. 2, some people come for the cultural package. And 3, some people definitely come for the food. And I think most people are here basically for the food. Now, one of the main objectives behind the organization and the staging of the festival is because we are living in what we call the indigenous communities. And what we want to do is really to preserve many of the indigenous dishes, especially the traditional food. And that is one of our main focus as an organization. So on National Heroes Day, when you come to Fancy, expect, if you come to the Fancy Unity Farmers North Windward Tourism Association Factory and Kitchen, what you're gonna get is strictly local indigenous dishes. So you're gonna get your madongo, whether bake or fry fish. You'll get your sweet cassava bakes, your sweet cassava pudding, your sweet potato pudding, your dokona, your farine, your cassava bread. You expect to get fish broth and callaloo soup. You may get some fungi. For persons who don't know what that is. and you will get your sweat food and codfish. And trust me, you'll get a lot of local fish. Like I said before, some people come for the cultural package. And our cultural package is a cultural package with a difference. Here you can expect things like choral speeches. You can expect poetry. You can expect dances, cultural dances that is. You can expect soca and calypso. You can expect drumming. And of course, you can expect drama. Okay? So people come, so they get a mixture, they get a variety of the Vincentian culture. And you get participation from persons across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a platform again for budding talent. Many of our youngsters get an opportunity to go on stage and showcase their talents, whether in singing, whether in dances, whether in poetry, whether in drama, or whether in choral speeches. So it's really a platform for the youth. It's a setting, it's a foundation for them to really hone their skills in the different creative arts. So like I said, people come here for three things. Some people, they just love the fresh breeze in Fancy. They love the atmosphere, they love the vibes, and they love hanging out in Hero Square, near to the river, near to the sea, in that kind of environment and setting where, I mean, it's not in the city. You are up here in the open where you don't have a lot of pollution. The air is fresh and clean and so on, blowing down from the mountainside. You can get a nice view of the sea and so on. So basically people just love coming to Fancy. They said that the feeling is different.
Well, right now we are live and alive 2015 here in Fancy. I've been here from the beginning, right? And there are a lot of people here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who journey straight up to Fancy every day. Heroes Day happen, right? And it is happening quite peacefully all the years, I know. There are folk dancers, artists, as in soca artists, reggae artists, other artists, as in arts and performances, right? There is the fireman hooper, the chosen one. There is the Tajo, who is one of the creator of this event, right? And Fancy is the place to be. Every year, at the 14th of March, where all the Garifuna people come together and celebrate the Chief Chatoyer Day, which is National Heroes Day. You can get your dokona, which is local, your cassava bambam, which is local. You can get your fish broth, a little bit of everything in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Prime Minister is here, the Minister of Culture is here every year. Everybody's here. We have the party people who are here. They come to celebrate every year. This is your first year. So I'm telling you, if you have enough taste of Fancy, you can get it right here. Now about me, Fireman Hooper, I've been here from the beginning. Fancy is a place, right, where we can come and remember what used to happen in the days of our foreparents. So it is Orange Hill, Sandy Bay, Fancy, Greg's, and the places that celebrate National Heroes Day, right? National Heroes Day supposed to be all celebrated by all of us, right? In the olden way.
Hey, what's up? This is a girl, Chanel Nanton. I'm chilling here in Fancy. It's Heroes Day and I'm having a blast. I'm here every Heroes Day with Swazo and the crew, and definitely I will be performing later on, and that's going to be a blast. So I'm just going to tell you all, no other place to be than in Fancy on a Heroes Day as we celebrate our day for our heroes, our fallen soldiers. So once again, this is a girl, Chanel Nanton. Say big up, keep it locked.
Like I said, this is my first time in Fancy, right? At the National Heroes Day celebration. Actually, my first time in Fancy at all. And I'm just loving it. I got to taste the madongo bread, the madongo fry bread, it was lovely. I had the bam bam. I know a lot about bam bam because this is what my grandmother used to do because I'm from Chatoyer. But oh my God, seeing it happening out here in Fancy, it's amazing. The ladies are doing it in the copper. I even saw a gentleman doing it. So you know that it's passing down. Our tradition is passing down to generations. I totally love it. This is my first time here, like I said, but I'm gonna make sure that this is an annual thing for me. I am just so happy to be here. This is our culture. Talk about Vincentian culture. You're getting it raw right here in Fancy. So I must say I enjoy this experience and I urge everybody to just come out in your numbers next year. I'm gonna have fun for me and you this year, but next year make sure that you come out in your numbers. I love it.
Good evening, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, as you can see, this is National Heroes Day preparation and things are about to get started here, and what we're doing here is start preparing. As you guys can see, what's going on here, well, actually the cleaning, I am responsible for the cleaning of the place, and then as you guys can see, we just finished scraping some cassava and getting things in place, some potato already peeled to get in place, and then lots more. I hope you guys can be around to see what's really going on, but hopefully things are going to start a bit late this evening because tonight is around the clock. And this is 3 days now we have been preparing for this event, which you guys can see it's a lot of work. And while we're hoping that we get more youngsters involved into this activity, it's a lot of work, but most of us will say it's hard, but for me it's not hard. It's just your mind. Come to it, you get involved and things are nice, you know what I'm saying? And tomorrow is gonna be a big day. So I'm hoping that people will turn out a lot to see what's really going on in Fancy and what this preparation, this 3 days preparation that we're doing is all about.
I can say that here in Fancy, people also get a chance to see how the indigenous dishes are being prepared. Persons over the years has only seen the finished product. And here on that day and the day leading up to National Heroes Day, one can come and get a first-hand view of how some of the products are being processed, the local indigenous dishes. For example, a lot of persons don't know how the madongo is done. They may go somewhere and get the madongo, whether it in most cases fried, but to actually see it being processed from its raw stage to being a madongo fried bakes or a madongo bakes, they have never seen that. Persons may have eaten a dukuna, but have never actually seen the stages leading up to making a dukuna or a potato pudding or the baking of a cassava bread, what we call the bam bam, the making of the farine. So these are things people look forward to when they come to Fancy, to get a first-hand view in terms of the preparation of the indigenous dishes or the indigenous cuisine that we offer on that day.
Yeah, my name is Donovan Samuel, and this is Miss Lane. She responsible for taking care of making our bam bam today. Every year we usually do a lot of cassava, and today this is where the bam bam really take place. So yeah, well, cassava is a thing that people always grow. So usually you go to the field all in the morning or in the afternoon and reap in a nice cool time. We take the best care of the cassava, make sure it's clean, bring it back to the factory. We wash the cassava first before we even do the scraping. After washing, then we scrape the cassava, put it in clean water, we wash it, we pre-wash it, make sure it's real white and clean. Then we put it in the grater, which is a mill that grinds it electric. After grinding that for about 10-20 minutes, then we're gonna put it in a softener and sieve it. We call it sieving. So the hard part will go one side, we call the hocks, and then we will use the other part called the biti. Now we're making the bread. So you mix it with you can mix it with coconut, or you can use salt and sugar, depending on how you want it. And then you put it on the fire, and then it takes about say 10 minutes to do a properly well-baked cassava. Usually we call it bami or bam bam cassava flatbread. That is the original name for the bread.
Okay, out here we have two different types of cassava. The sweet one and the bitter ones. This one that we're doing here right now, you grate it. You don't squeeze the juice. You grate it and you mix it with a little bit of flour and probably a little butter, sugar, nutmeg or spice, and you put it in the bush. You warm a bush, banana bush. You heat the copper and you bake it to a temperature not too hot. No, but the other type now, the better one is the one that we use to make the farine and the cassava bread. That one you have to squeeze the juice. You do the same, you go through the same procedure, but just mean that you squeeze in the juice out, right? And that comes dry, and then you sieve it. You sieve it, and then you just make. And we have some of that right there that we make the farine with, and the cassava bread. But this one, as I said, you don't have to squeeze the juice out. You just grate it and you knead it and make your bakes. That size is a $5 size. But we could make it bigger, depends on how we desire.
Hello again, St. Vincent. This is Donovan Samuel, member of Fancy Uniform Cooperative, and I'm an executive member. Today is National Heroes Day, and we are doing here today Madongo, an original food that everybody in St. Vincent wants to eat. So today, this Madongo started from where they do the arrows in Ovia. So every time the grind starts every year, they always left a portion of starch that we could make Madongo that people come to eat indigenous food. So Ms. King will give you a rundown on how they start to reach this point. You know?
I'm Miss King from Ovia, and first I put my water to boil, and after the water is boiled, I boil the madongo, boil the starch like this, and I put it in the water as soon as it starts boiling, and when it's finished, I take it out. So I get the skin. This is the skin of the madongo. So I prepare my coconut, a little bit sugar, a little salt, a little nutmeg, and then I began to knead it. I knead the pets that come off, which is a tarry thing on it, and mash the starch and knead it until it gets to a smooth. When it gets smooth, if you know it's finished, and you can prepare it for frying or baking. Very easy.
Right, this is another stage where the manna will be processed. Now, you see before they've been frying out there, that's where they use coconut oil, the best oil you can in the whole world. Now, this is where they're using, they're gonna put it in the copper. This is the copper where the manna will be baked today. So from frying, this is another stage where this is baked. So this one is a bit more dry than oil. So you see?
Watch, now when we're ready, so we're going to use them three here for the lady. Walk, the lady will walk the tree. Separate them three that way now, separate. Separate. One. Between one, and then one. More on. That's more on. And then you remove it from the bush to set. Two in this one in first, and then one in one. What in that?
My name is Kojo, right? Popular name. I'm from Spring Village in the League Ward. Anytime you come to Heroes Day, I just make it my journey up here to cook this food, because I know this food as one of the best food without chicken and beef and pork. So everything in this pot to me is meat, no flesh, meat. Because the green herbs of the earth is the meat, right? So I have like the carrots, the tomato, the pepper, sweet and hot, right? I have the ripe plantain, the cabbage, the celery, the onion, garlic, save, little saffron as well. So it's ice gold and green in the pot. It's 3 colors of the rainbow in the pot, you know? So all in one boil up, one go. Nothing to slice and no side dish, just one go. Mama and them days when they used to cook, that's the kind of food they used to cook with all no flesh. So that remain within man tradition. Then the pot is really from clay. We get that from St. Lucia area, most likely, you know. I meet them with one in the house they call a monkey from clay. We drink water from, right? And this one have a next little one they used to fry in from the clay. So I know them things from way back when, in my time. So I do still keep the tradition going.
All right. Well, Sandra really here is the cook. I'm the apprentice chef. What she's doing right now is the fish broth. She has already the banana, and now we're doing the dumpling. A banana with spices, chives, what else, Sandra? Thyme, some coconut oil, and so on. So we're putting in the dumplings, and then we're going to add the fish. This is one of the delicacies that most people come out to fancy for Heroes Day.
Well, I enjoy doing this every year, every time for my home and when we have activities anyway. I enjoy cooking callaloo soup, fish broth, all the menus. Just call my name and I will do it.
We do most of our cooking on outdoor firewood. It is our indigenous way of preparing our food. So we are just trying to keep the traditional way alive in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Most people are accustomed to their stoves and their microwaves, but we are very happy to keep this kind of tradition of outdoor firewood alive here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that is why we have our heroes, the celebrations in fancy really, to have this indigenous way of life being looked upon, being kept alive, so that our children, because they don't really know about this sort of thing, they're accustomed growing up now with their stoves and those modern ways of cooking against our traditional ways. So I'm very happy to be part of this group that hosts this Heroes Day event, so that we can really showcase some of these traditional ways of our foreparents back in the days in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, I was now putting the fish in the pot as you see. Fish that done clean and seasoned. Rock fish, I call that.
Now, some of the challenges, like I said, that we have with the festival is that sometimes the funding, the financial contributions are not enough to really carry the festival to where we really want to see it. Sometimes you don't really get the kind of financial support that you really want to put into the festival. But we try to make do with what we have. But there's a lot more that we can really add to making this festival a really, really, really excellent and great festival. Much more than how it is. There are other things I would like to see added to the festival. We would like to be a little bit more creative in terms of what we do, but our resources are limited. We do not have the manpower either, because most people in the community want to do their own thing. So a lot of persons who started with the organization are no longer with the organization. Persons on that they want to do their own preparation. Let me just say that they want to make their own money. And that creates a strain on the organization in terms of the human resource. We don't have the human resource. And that's one of our major constraints. Another constraint that we had was the traffic. You know, Fancy is a very small community, and over the years persons were complaining of the traffic congestion due to the thousands of people who journey to Fancy on March 14th. However, over the years the police have also been on board with us, and they have assessed the traffic situation, and moreover, for the past 3 or 4 years we have been getting a lot of assistance from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, and because of the resources that they have pumped into ensuring the festival goes down smoothly. The police are really here early, and they are really assisting us with the traffic. Thus, we are not having that kind of congestion that we used to have over the years. So persons can basically feel free coming into Fancy and really enjoying themselves without the hassle of having to deal with too much of the traffic problem that we encountered earlier when we just started the festival. The Rabuka Bridge is very significant when it comes to National Heroes Day. I don't think that we would have been able to have a festival of this nature without the Rabuka Bridge and the road network that is in place now, because long ago people would not have thought about coming to Fancy, and we must really give props to the government for putting these social structures in place, because without the road and the bridge, the Fancy National Heroes, the festival would never have really taken off, because persons would have been abandoned about really coming to this side of the country. They may have thought twice about driving across the Rabuka Dry River to come to this side of the island. So we see that as a real significant factor to really getting the festival so hype and built up as it is now. Over the years, the Highroad Brewery have come on board with us, and the festival has really grown tremendously with their contribution. The Highroad Brewery has really been supporting the North Windward Tourism Association and Fancy Unity Farmers Cooperative in making the celebration what it is. Lime has also been one of our main sponsors from the inception. Again, we really need to say a really great thank you to Lime. Lime has been one of the corporate factors that has been on board with us. Geku has also been on board with us, and we really have to thank Geku. The Ministry of Culture for their unwavering support. The Ministry of Culture has really been supporting us over the years. I still think they can do a lot more, given the nature of this festival and how this festival has really grown. And basically, we still want to thank them for their contribution as well. The National Lottery, and many other organizations have really contributed over the years. But those are really the main driving force behind the National Heroes Day Festival here in Fancy. Well, basically, it's for anybody looking at this documentary to really, if you have never been to Fancy on March 14th, National Heroes Day, we're just basically inviting you to come out to the event next year and the following year after, because National Heroes Day Festival is definitely here to stay, and we are really looking forward to having persons coming to Fancy and enjoying this national festival with us here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.